Today I'm going to tell you a story that feels like a movie. On one side, one of the most respected names on Wall Street, a former chairman of Nasdaq. On the other side, the biggest Ponzi scheme in history. Imagine this. Everyone thinks this man is a genius. Banks, billionaires, celebrities, charities, they're all lining up, practically begging to give him their money. And what is he really doing? One simple thing, printing fake numbers. This is the story of Bernie Madoff. And it's not just a finance story. It's a warning about the easy money promises you will hear in your own life. If someone told you, I can give you high returns every single year with almost no risk, and the person saying this was a famous, respected market veteran, would you trust them? That was Madoff's main weapon. He wasn't really selling stocks. He was selling trust. Bernie Madoff started his firm, Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities, in 1960. Over the years, he became a major figure on Wall Street. He even served as chairman of Nasdaq. We're not talking about some random guy in a small office. We're talking about someone the financial world saw as an icon. And here's the crazy part. The people who gave him money didn't even feel like they were taking a risk. Madoff's image was simple and comforting. I don't gamble. I don't chase crazy returns. I just give you calm, steady, consistent profits. If someone tells you today, even when markets crash, I still make you plus 10% every year, is that a success story or a giant red flag? Year after year, Madoff reported smooth, consistent gains. No big spikes, no big crashes, just a gentle, comfortable line going upward. Investors loved it. Not because it made them rich overnight, but because it made them feel safe. That's the scary part. Often, the most dangerous lies are not the get-rich-quick ones, but the quiet, steady, no-risk ones. So how was he doing it? What was really happening behind the scenes? The answer is actually very simple. It was a classic Ponzi scheme. New investors' money was used to pay profits to old investors. There were almost no real trades behind the scenes. He created fake account statements, fake trade confirmations, fake profits. On paper, it looked like this. We bought this, we sold that, here's your profit. In reality, it was just money moving from one pocket to another, until one day, there wasn't enough left. Imagine your investing app shows green numbers for years. You feel rich, you feel clever. But behind that screen, there are no real assets. How long can that illusion last? Madoff had another powerful tactic. He didn't accept everyone. That sounds strange, right? But he used exclusivity as a marketing tool. We can't take too many clients. There's a minimum amount. Maybe we can get you in. If someone we know introduces you. It felt like a private club. The more hard to access it seemed, the more people wanted in. That's basic human psychology. The harder something is to get, the more valuable our brain thinks it is. He also played another angle. Community. He moved in tight social circles, especially among wealthy communities, private clubs, charities, and foundations. People looked at him and thought, he's one of us. He's from our circle. He must be safe. There's even a name for this, affinity fraud. You target people who trust you because of a shared identity, the same religion, the same ethnicity, the same background, the same club, the same type of person. When someone tells you, everyone in our community is in this deal, people from our group trust it, does that make you relax? Or does it make you more suspicious? Here's the part that really hurts. There were warnings years before everything collapsed. A financial analyst named Harry Markopoulos looked at Madoff's returns and said, these numbers are mathematically impossible. Starting in 1999, he sent multiple reports to the regulators saying, this guy is almost certainly running a Ponzi scheme. And what happened? Nothing. Those warnings were ignored or not taken seriously enough. So Madoff wasn't just using the trust of rich investors. He was also hiding behind the trust people had in the system itself. You've probably heard someone say, come on, if something was wrong, the government would have shut it down already. This story shows how dangerous that sentence can be. How did this giant lie finally collapse? The year is 2008, global financial crisis. Markets are crashing, banks are failing, people are panicking. When people panic, they don't want paper profits anymore. They want cash. Madoff's clients start asking for their money back. Not just a few of them, a lot of them. Suddenly, withdrawal requests reach billions of dollars. But there's a problem. The money isn't there. Real cash had been used to pay old investors, spent on luxury, or never really existed in the first place. It only existed on fake statements. Every Ponzi scheme has the same ending. As long as more money comes in than goes out, it survives. The moment that reverses, it dies. In December 2008, Madoff finally tells his sons, it's all one big lie. The business is basically a giant Ponzi scheme. His sons report him. The FBI arrests him on the 11th of December 2008. He later pleads guilty to multiple charges: securities fraud, investment advisor fraud, mail and wire fraud, money laundering, perjury, and more. He's sentenced to 150 years in prison. On paper, his client's accounts showed around $60+ billion in value. In reality, the actual money they had invested and lost was closer to about $17–20 billion. Liquidators and lawyers spent years chasing the money, suing people, selling off assets, recovering funds. They managed to pay back a big portion, but not everyone got all their money back. Madoff eventually died in prison in 2021. But the damage didn't die with him. It wasn't just rich individuals, it was charities, pension funds, university endowments, family savings, entire retirements. A single fraud didn't just hurt the rich. It shut down charities, erased scholarships, broke families. Still think, my money's small, nobody will try to cheat me. Now we come to the most important part. What does this story teach you? Not in 2008, not on Wall Street right now, in your life. First, you need to understand this. There is no such thing as guaranteed, steady, high returns with no risk. If someone says, I never lose, it goes up every year. I can beat the market consistently with no risk. That's not confidence. That's either a fantasy or a lie. Real investing has ups and downs. There are bad years, losses, drawdowns. If the line is always perfectly smooth, be careful. Real life doesn't look like that. Second, don't let titles and fancy resumes think for you. Madoff was a longtime Wall Street player, a former Nasdaq chairman, a man trusted by big banks, billionaires, and foundations. And still, he was a criminal. Everyone trusting someone doesn't automatically make that person honest. Sometimes, the more status someone has, the fewer questions people dare to ask. Trust is not a replacement for your own thinking. Third, be extra careful when someone says, people like us are in this. Everyone from our community is doing it. Our people trust this. This is popular in our circle. Most big scams don't start with a stranger in a dark alley. They start with a friend of a friend, someone from the same background, the same culture, the same group. Madoff used that. He weaponized familiarity. Just because someone is from your world doesn't mean their offer makes financial sense. Fourth, regulators are important, but they are not your brain. Authorities had warnings. They had reports. They had time. And still, they missed it. Yes, rules and regulators matter. They protect a lot of people, but they can't protect you from every bad actor, especially if you switch off your own critical thinking. Someone else must have checked this. Is not a risk management strategy. And finally, if you're between 18 and 30, one of the most important skills you can learn is saying no. You are going to see a lot of offers in your life. Quick money, insider tips, guaranteed returns, special deals only for you. At least one of them will sound really tempting. In those moments, remember Madoff and ask yourself, does this really make sense? Or are they just pressing my I want it easy button? Good investing is usually boring, consistent, slow, disciplined. Scams are usually exciting, fast, secret, exclusive. The core message of Madoff's story is this. If someone is selling you excitement instead of transparency, you are not an investor to them. You are fuel. This is not financial advice. It's something more basic. Life advice. No matter how much money you have, no matter how old you are, your most valuable asset is your critical thinking. One day someone will say to you, trust me, I know what I'm doing. You can't lose. In that moment, remember Bernie Madoff, the man who fooled banks, billionaires, charities, and regulators, and then very calmly decide, I'm not going to let anyone be the Madoff of my life.